Hey, what's up? It's Chris here from Chris's Sci-Fi Reactions. Today we're back with another classic Doctor Who. This is Planet of Giants Part 3. Enjoying the story so far. It seems to be pretty good. Looking forward to seeing the conclusion of this story. And I'll be able to give it a score out of 10. And yeah, I'm guessing it will be a higher up one. Because this is probably, I think, my favourite so far of Doctor Who since it started. Um, I don't think there's much more. Remember, the full uncut, unedited reaction is available on Patreon, listed in the description below, as well as my social media accounts on Facebook and Twitter. So, without further ado, let's just get straight on into this. I guess lucky it has an overflow pipe, that one.
Put the plug back in again.
What is for safe? Anything?
No. To Dr. C. Afraid there's not much hope, Barbara.
I wonder if that's a set or if it's like some sort of overlay.
Like this, what can we do? Said they'd be all right, Grandfather.
Don't believe it. There we are, you see, my friend? You can't get rid of us as easily as all that, eh?
Yeah, well, there we are. The report is ready.
If they drink and eat infected food and water.
Yes, or even coming in contact with it.
Penetrating the skin to get into the bloodstream.
Well, then why do we go on just
Oh,
sitting?
now, my dear, gently, gently.
I'm sorry. Bob, are you all right? Yes, I feel a bit giddy. I think I must be hungry.
Yes, now there's another point to consider, my dear boy, eating. We can't, even if we do find food here.
Yes, well, the less we talk about food, the more I like it.
We can go back to the sink, of course. The water in the tap is quite safe.
Well, no need for all of us to go.
There you go.
Go and fetch some.
But I want to go into that direction. You see, there's something over there that might be the solution to all this business.
Oh, what's that?
A telephone, my dear. Hmm?
Could you speak
Come
over
on,
a
then.
telephone? Being that size, though, would a telephone magnify your voice?
Thank you, my dear. You look very tired.
Yes, I'm a bit.
Well, we can manage. You just sit down and rest for a while, hmm?
That's very nice of the Doctor.
No one must touch.
Okay, so she passed out before due to the drug.
The same Averna.
Oh, insecticide, I should say, not drug.
You didn't eat or drink anything.
Well, no, certainly not.
She got insecticide on her hand. She touched it.
Well, she never told me. I never saw her do this. She did borrow my handkerchief.
Where were you then?
By that pile of seeds.
Yes. You see, she got it on her hands. And she rubbed it off on your handkerchief.
Why didn't she tell us?
You can't help
That's a
it,
good
can't you, Doctor?
question. At full size,
A bit ropey.
she'd be okay.
Could do with a glass of water.
We're going to take you back to the ship.
All right. Just give me a minute.
Come on, Barbara. A long way
Ooh,
to go.
she wouldn't be that good at holding on to the pipe,
Can get us
though.
back to normal size. can't you,
Oh,
Doctor?
yes, of
It
course
easily
I can, dear boy,
falls.
yes. Of course I can. I hope.
I hope. Doesn't sound very promising by the doctor.
What the devil's wrong with this phone?
Yes, that's it. We'll cause trouble. Start a fire, my boy.
Yes. Can we start a big enough one to do any real damage?
Well, we can try anyway. There's nothing like a good fire, is there?
What do you think, Barbara?
I think it's a good idea. If we could manage to start a fire, it would...
I do like
certainly
that
attract people.
Barbara's
Yes.
sort of
They find that man's body.
thinking of the greater good.
Barrow? No.
Oh, the other gentleman, I see. Only I've a call for Mr. Farrow.
Oh, just a minute.
Do you think you ought to be doing this, Hilda?
Barrow here? Who is this?
See? It's the same man.
Get him to talk a bit more.
Mr. Farrow, I've got a London call for you. Will you accept the charges?
London.
Oh, I think it's moving a bit.
Oh, come on, all together. Well, it's coming.
So they're going to try and, what, light a fire with gas? That wouldn't be very effective, though, unless you have something.
Everything.
Smithers?
Oh, dear boy, try hitting the box at a sharper angle. More force, more biff.
Doctor, have you ever tried to lift one of
Yeah,
these things?
absolutely. It's pretty darn heavy, and
Charge!
Can't be long now.
okay, so I'm guessing the scientist is now having a change
Much
of
cover as you can. When that
heart.
thing explodes, there'll be metal flying all over the place.
It'll be just like that air raid, Grandfather. Do you remember?
Yes, very well. And what infernal machines those Zeppelins were.
Zeppelins. I assume he's talking about like World War One or Two. Jeez, that's
Yeah, well,
nasty.
Now I have some questions that need answering. And turn that gas off, you'll kill a lot of us.
I think it's working. Yes. I think it's working, my boy.
Doctor, look at that sea!
Yes, yes, we've done it. Yes. To look our usual self again.
Thank you, Doctor.
Not at all, my dear boy. Always at your service.
Doctor, what happened in the laboratory? I don't remember much after the explosion.
Well, I'm happy to say our plan worked. We didn't have to fire the laboratory, but we did attract attention. Do you know a policeman came into that room just as I was about to climb down that pipe?
good.
Well, that's
Now,
good
what about us?
news.
Can you get us back to normal?
Hopefully there's some justice
Sir
done.
Johnson, my dear?
Grandfather, is that the seed you brought in with you?
The same seed.
Then we are back.
I think we're beginning to materialize. Perhaps I shall know now where we are.
World's End. Okay, so that was Planet of the Giants Crisis. Planet of the Giants as a whole, I really enjoyed. I'm going to give it an 8. It was quite good storyline, quite different from any of the other storylines we've had. I'd be interested to see if this is anything like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I really should watch that movie. Yeah, I don't think there's much really to be said in the way of the whole episode, you know, the way it developed. I had a lot of development, I think, for Barbara, especially. Dr. Susan, but Barbara and Ian, I think it really did a lot of character development with those two, especially being on their own. I don't think there's much more else. We'll break it down and see anyway. Oops. Okay, so we start off, we're in they got the sink, he's pulled out the plug. The Doctor and Susan are in the overflow pipe, and they are able to survive in there. Barbara's worried that the Doctor and Susan must have drowned. They go down into the sink to see. We then have Susan and the Doctor who pop up out, and obviously everyone's glad to be back together. This guy, this businessman / psychopath, making a phone call to London about the insecticide, trying to change his voice. Whether people wouldn't notice, I guess it depends on how often they've spoken to each other. Obviously the Professor Doctor, I don't know what he was, but was quite concerned. Here they found the chemical formula and they decided to write it up on the pad to see. Barbara was hoping for a cure. Obviously the others weren't sure why she was interested in that. Obviously the doctor's saying that it could kill us, you know, if we're infected. Then we have an idea of going over to the telephone to make a phone call. Work on lifting it off the receiver. Okay, so they're all working together. Barbara's obviously a little bit exhausted from this. Obviously she has the insecticide in her system, so they managed to put the phone on these corks, I think they are supposed to be. Let's have a look. Yeah, then we have here at the exchange. I'm really curious to know if this is how it was done in the early 60s. You know, did they have to call the exchange, then the exchange routed them through to wherever they wanted to call? And was there a police officer at these exchanges as well? Here we have them trying to talk, but there's just no luck. The Doctor failed, said so himself. Barbara uses the handkerchief and she basically forces, you know, tries to keep it from the others so they can't touch it. She collapses. The Doctor notices the insecticide on the handkerchief. The Doctor telling Barbara it was very basically stupid of her not to tell anyone, and I totally agree. Doctor saying that if we get her back to a normal size, she'll be fine, but if she stays at this, she will die. Yeah. Then we have Barbara sort of saying, I think it happened off screen, but I could be mistaken, that, you know, we need to stay and get these guys dealt with for what they've done. Sort of, yeah. The greater good, I guess, is the way. But Ian's obviously concerned that she'll die if they don't get back. Then Ian sort of figures it out that using a match and gas, here we have them calling and sort of detecting that the businessman / psychopath is pretending to be the other guy that was killed in the first episode. The police officer then obviously decides he's heading over there, check it out. This is where the doctor sort of realizes that the insecticide has killed everything, you know, not just what is needed, but it's literally killed everything. Here we have Ian sort of with the match, and Ian and Susan trying to light it, and with the gas on facing this insecticide bottle, it will explode because it's a pressurized can exposed to fire. Bang. Doctor criticizing Ian for not getting it right. He should try picking it up himself. Then they succeed in lighting it, and yeah, sets a fire, and the two guys then come in, and basically it explodes in the psychopath's face. And yeah, they're arrested. Or at least they're going to be interrogated. Here we have the Doctor trying to restore them back to their normal size, like when the TARDIS goes out, TARDIS lights go out. And then we find out that, yeah, the seed is back to their normal size, and the seed is tiny. But of course the seeds, the size of the seed hasn't really changed, it's them that's changed back to normal. Doctor, why they go and clean up, the Doctor tries to use the scanner, but it's broken. Okay, so that was Doctor Who Planet of Giants Part 3. Really enjoyed that story, given it an 8. I think that's what it deserves, because it's probably my favourite story of Classic Who that I've seen so far. So I'm hoping that this sort of level of quality continues, and it just continues to get better. Of course, the next story is the Dalek invasion of Earth. This will be obviously the second time that we've seen the Daleks in Classic Who, which I'm really looking forward to seeing them again, this time on Earth. Yeah, I don't think there's much more. Remember, the full uncut unedited reaction is available on Patreon, listed in the description below, as well as my Twitter and Facebook accounts. Yeah, and I will see you next time. Bye.